Hey guys, we have a special guest today. Welcome back. Our guest today is an innovator, a leadership and executive coach, winning mindset strategist, motivational speaker, board game advisor, and author of the book called The Extraordinary Leaders for Everyday Managers. Please help me welcome Phillip Fernandez. Woo, welcome.
Thank you, Danyal. It's really great to be here today with you.
What does success look like to you?
Well, that's a very good question. What does success look like to me? If you asked me that, say, 20 years ago, it would have probably been a very different answer. As a young man, of course, success is all about the biggest deal, getting the accolades. It's something that's tangible to show success. But right now, success is the complete opposite. It's the intangible. Success is how they think, act, and behave, and how they contribute to life. Success cannot be measured in monetary value or what you have. Success virtually comes back to who you're being and how you think. People have distorted views of success, and people feel that success only belongs to certain people and not to others, if you know what I mean. And that's a shame. It's sad because they don't realize that success is staring at them in the face and they can't see it. I don't blame them because they don't know how to succeed.
So what do you do with your clients exactly?
Okay, so people come to me for a few reasons, and it's not necessarily the real reasons, or the initial gain. Usually it's a secondary gain that people really need, but they don't know they need. So the initial reason why people come to me is I need to increase my clientele. I want to keep my staff from leaving me. I want to be able to motivate my staff to be able to become more productive. Those are the main areas because it's the end result is very quick, and so it's an immediate gain. But what they really don't talk about, a lot of them, is that I need you to look at my culture of the business. What are my values and what do I stand for? I also want you to look at how I lead, because they forget that, good or bad culture starts at the top. And I have a saying, fish rots at the head first. And it is, fish rots at the head first. And so if you're a fish person, you would know that. And so it starts from the top. And if they allow me and they're open up to say, you know what, thank you. I needed someone to tell me that. Let's work with me first. Let's work through the culture and then work through my people. The rest will take care of itself. Marketing is usually secondary. That's more of a band-aid because you can market people to come to your business, but when they come in, they don't experience the customer experience, the behavior, the thinking, all that sort of stuff, and the quality. Well, what's the point? It's false advertising. So we need to, I wouldn't say fix, we need to actually resolve and to create a culture and a place of real productivity, because at the end of the day, they've got to have fun, they've got to embrace the culture, they've got to want to be there, and then they will create passion that will create productivity, not the other way around.
I love last time I spoke to you, you said something about blame. Tell me a bit about that.
Have you used it on anyone?
Yes, I've told a few of my students already, and I was like, hey, Phillip Fernandez told me this, and then I was like, I do this now, and then I told them the whole thing, and they were like, whoa, they just mind blown. So tell us a bit about that.
Good on you, mate. Good on you.
I love it.
Yeah, it's the old three-finger theory, right? It's about coming back to what we talked about earlier about leaders and decision makers in businesses. It's so often I'm working really hard here, and my staff are just not meeting me even halfway. They're just turning up to work and they're going home. Okay, so the first question I ask them is like, can you do this for me? Can you actually turn that around? What does that mean to me? So Daniel, I'm going to play it with you. So when I first showed this to you, what did that mean to you?
It means you're pointing at me.
I was pointing at you. Some people say it's a gun. Some people say lots of different things. It's about inner representation of what that is. But in reality, a lot of people look at not themselves, but it's the economy, it's the government, it's the business, it's the environment, it's my clients, it's my boss, it's my staff. All right. It's always someone else's issues or problems that is affecting my performance.
Mm.
Before we ever say that, I always say to people, have a look at your hand and how many fingers are pointing back at you? They're 3.
Whoa.
So virtually what I'm saying is until we can tick those fingers off and be squeaky clean, then we have the right to point the finger at someone else. Because in more than 90% of cases, it is this is causing everything around us in life. We can create what we want to happen to us by taking care of ourselves first. And that is how we think, act, and behave, which is what NLP, the basis of NLP, is all about.
Wow. Talk to me about that neuro-linguistic programming.
Neuro-linguistic program has been around since the 60s, actually. It created by psychologists then, Carl Jung and Freud, and a lot of psychologists then were working towards different ways of how we think, act, and behave. All right. And so this came about and over the years has been evolved. And neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, so as to speak, is used in many, many contexts, in business, in careers, in sports, in personal self-development, even dealing with your own fears, anxieties, addictions, a whole lot of things. It's mind-boggling, right? It crosses many boundaries that in some cases actually scares people. Go, wow, how do I actually believe this? So over the years, I've just recently done my master's in NLP. Thank you. So I'm a master's practitioner now because I love the actual thinking so much. Now, there's a lot of other forms of thinking and modalities out there. They're all great, all right? NLP is kind of like the basis, is the science that a lot of even psychologists, doctors, dentists, a lot of people are now adopting and studying NLP so that they can actually get results a lot quicker and faster. I mentioned to you about my breakthrough session. A lot of that is NLP based, all right? And that's why in 6 to 8 hours, I can penetrate so deeply with someone into their whole physical inner self that allows them to actually create clarity. One of the things about NLP I got to tell you is that as a practitioner, I don't do anything to you. I don't do it to you. I work with you. That is the difference. That you will then open up and allow me in to help you make the decisions yourself to create change in your life. But I cannot force you to do it.
Wow. Okay.
That is powerful. Once you can see the thinking in there, that is transformation. That is a transformation for life. Once you understand, identify, embrace, you can start making changes yourself for your life moving forward.
You went to see Nelson Mandela, Kathy Freeman, Michael Jackson, and Norman Vincent Peale live. What's the story behind all that?
Well, Daniel, for the sake of your audience, I didn't see them all in one hit
at
the same time.
Right.
I'll start with, Mandela. Mandela was, in all of these things, some of them are by accident. It's amazing. I think about life as, people being in the right place at the right time. And whatever happens, it's meant to happen to us. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's meant to happen. We need to accept that, which is the hardest thing for a human being, and then move forward and do something about it, positive or negative. It has happened. We can't live in that space. We've got to live in the now moving forward. Mandela was a surprise. I was in a huge concert. I was living in New Zealand at the time in Auckland, and about a couple of 100,000 people gathered for Christmas to actually see a beautiful concert in the park. And that year, Mandela happened to be in Auckland, New Zealand, and he happened to turn up on stage as a guest speaker. That was mind-blowing. You could hear a pin drop in the entire park that night. So it's a moment I'll never forget. Norman Vincent Peale, I was a young man, and when I met him, he was already approaching 80. He was the writer of the first book on positive thinking, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. And so, Tony Robbins wasn't even born in those days. I mean, this guy was the father of motivation. And I remember him, 2 other speakers actually walked him on stage, and he was hobbling on stage. And I thought, is this guy going to be able to speak for even 5 minutes? Wow. And when they left him on the mic alone, he sounded like he was in his 40s, and he commanded the room of over 500 people in that room that day. It was mind-blowing. It made an indelible impression in my life. Obviously read his book straight after that. The other two was, of course, Michael Jackson in 2000. He came to New Zealand, and I saw his concert with my family, and it was his last space concert before he died, unfortunately. And so it was amazing. Right? And he's actually in my second page of my book, Extraordinary Leadership for Everyday Managers, about, everyone knows that Michael Jackson internally is a real introvert. If you see him in a interview, he says only very, very few words. He's very much withdrawn, but on stage, he's a powerhouse. All right. He commands an audience of 50,000 people, and everybody's sort of at his feet. And he was, the king of Motown in his days. So there's a lesson to be learned in that about perception of what leaders are all about. And a lot of leaders, true leaders, don't actually, like Mandela, don't actually want the title of leader. That's not their journey. They actually gain followers for what they do and their values for what their beliefs are. That's a true leader. And obviously, the last one was Kathy Freeman. But my wife and I were watching it, and our hairs were standing up because they actually showed that day, that event that Kathy Freeman was running. But all the emotions that she had to go through herself, and the belief structure, and the whole world and Australia was on her shoulders. We all know what happened. She won the event. I remember screaming my heart off and looking at my wife, and she was yelling, and we could not hear ourselves, our own voice, because the whole stadium was erupted. It was just such a surreal moment. But obviously that moment lived through the ages about, what success is, what winning is, and what the message was in that particular moment. So something I've taken on in my journey, learning from those moments, seeing those people live, and it's priceless. I'm also creating an 8-week online leadership program for any decision makers out there, or anyone that wants to know how to lead and to become a leader, but also looking at themselves and then working out. All right. So I'm going through a lot of commercial skills in leadership, but more also internal representation skills of addressing our limitations and facing our fears in moving on as a human being. All they need to do is go to my website, www.businesswizards.com.au, go to the contact page, register their interest, and I'll bring any of your audiences and give them a complimentary conversation, diagnosis, and see where they go from there.
I really appreciate. Keep in touch, obviously, and looking to learn more from you as we go forward in this journey of life. Thank you.
Daniel, thank you so much. I'll definitely be keeping in touch with you.